Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new show on my channel.
Not
We're going to
bad.
call this one the Lockout. Yeah, we are back again, but obviously, guys, you obviously know Brody from the Wednesday shows as always and Down Unders. We're also doing a little bit of a Supercoach show for guys that are interested in Supercoach. If anyone wants any questions, Supercoach, we are definitely not complete experts of Supercoach and that, but we've been playing Supercoach for a long, long time, brother. Are you excited for the season coming up, Brody?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, like we've grown up playing Supercoach through high school and that. Like, how good is it to go up against each other as always for another year?
Yeah, look, it's a good bit of friendly banter. What's up, Jazzy? Yeah, look, Supercoach. Yeah, look, it's a fun little game, you know, free. That's the best part. Yeah, no,
100%.
just get you more interested in the footy, you know, makes you really think strategically about it and really get you interested in the games when you've got players in the games that are on TV at the time. So, you know, you're watching those. Yeah, it's dope. It's good to be back for another season.
Yeah, and as you said, it is free. Obviously, you got the gambling side of things that we kind of delve in as well, where we are spending our own money watching the game and getting delved into the game. But Supercoach is the free version of that, where you can watch certain players and you can enjoy that sort of side of things. It kind of scratches that itch a little bit as well. So, but guys, yeah, we're going to try and make this a weekly show, just updating our teams. Tonight, obviously, if you checked out by the actual title of the video, we're going to give out our team reveals for this year. So get excited. Make sure you comment down below your thoughts overall. If there's any questions on any positioning, any players that you're interested in, why we put them in certain positions, we will try to go through that during the show. And also, we're going to end the show with a little bit of a fun little game doing over-unders. So we're only going to smack this one out of the park. We're probably going to grow on this show in the future. But guys, make sure you let us know down below your thoughts overall on the show. Also, guys, I've been having trouble with my mics as well, as we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Please make sure you chuck in a chat if it is a little bit too low for you guys and all that, and I'll try and work on it in the future. But brother, let's get straight into it. It's a team reveal time. Obviously, we're a couple of weeks off of the season. It may be a little bit early to do this, and I know Brody, we were talking about this in the pre-show. Brody's very much a guy that, you know, he's got his team, he's ready to go. But when round one, obviously their team list come out, that's when he's really going to make the moves and, you know, certain moves that he wants to make for players. So as with both our teams, none of these guys are really Bible. There's a couple of players that are like sitting where they need to be sitting, but a lot of things are up in the air to change overall, right? Tahi, bro, that's the way to advertise it, boys. Mike is working. Good to see you, Tahi. Appreciate you, brother. All right, bro. Let's see your team for 2025 in the work. So moving over to the Supercoach app on the internet. Brother, seeing here, you're going with the flex option of Tom Trebojevic and Kalen Ponga, and Isaiah Ongi sitting on the bench with a fullback jersey. Obviously, this is the biggest question for Supercoach this year that a lot of people are obviously querying with what's going on with this flex position. Why did you feel to go away 2 fullbacks here and then a cheapie fullback there? Did you think about 3 gun fullbacks, or are you going for cash gen to start the season? Is that where your head's at?
Look, with Isaiah Iongi, it'll depend on how he looks in the trials.
Yeah.
I just know that he's going to build cash there. Once he builds some cash there, I can, you know, jump onto someone like Ryan Papenhuyzen, Reece Walsh, Dylan Edwards, one of those type of guys. I didn't go and start with the 3 gun fullbacks just to sort of round out a bit stronger in my halves. You know, normally I'll go that little bit cheaper in the halves and then try and work to get Cleary or Hines at a bit later of a date. But, you know, with a cheap fullback that you know is probably going to be starting, that will rack up 80 minutes, you know, with Moses, with Dylan Brown, I only should average a pretty good score of 60 plus. And you'll see his points, his price grow. You know, and if he kind of tanks around that 60 mark, once he's made me a couple of $100K, what we'll do is we'll swap him out for someone like Reece Walsh.
Yeah, 100%, brother. I like this option as well. Obviously, guys, you get to see my team after, and it's good to obviously see 2 different sides, because I kind of went with the 3 gun fullback sort of option, but it's also going, it's good going this way. As I did say before, usually the early rounds very much is like about cash gen. Usually that's where you get a lot of your cheapies that you kind of are working into your lineup that, you know, get their first shot and their opportunity in the NRL. And, you know, Isaiah Iongi, a very highly touted fullback coming through the Panthers grade, going over to Parramatta Eels, finally getting an opportunity there. You should play the full game, obviously, being the fullback out there, should like his fullback is the highest scoring position usually in Supercoach. So he obviously has a lot of cash generation in him. But as Brody said, it is definitely waiting on the trials to see how he looks, how fit he is. Obviously, they got Joash Papali'i as well at the Parramatta Eels that could steal a spot there. There's even that outside chance that maybe Zach Lomax gets a fullback role, but I don't really see that happening. Usually, I think it's out of the two young boys there too. The other question I have for you too, brother, obviously Tom Trbojevic and Kalen Ponga. Two great options in that fullback position. Was there other players you were thinking about in that fullback position, like Latrell Mitchell, Reece Walsh, and that? And why did you choose these two here to start the season at the moment?
Well, KP for me is set forget. You know, he averages 2 try assists a game. You know, he goal kicks. He's just a bank for points. And, you know, getting him in at under 800K is good.
Yep.
I think the Knights have a pretty light start to the season as well, if I do remember off the top of my head. So Ponga will have a lot of early success. Whereas, you know, Teddy was going to struggle, in my opinion. He'll get a lot of base stats, but I don't see a lot of points in the Roosters early without a dominant half there. I know Townsend's there, but, you know, it's going to take him a while to find those try assists with 2 centers changing this year. Sam Walker not starting. So that's why I didn't go with someone like Teddy. Dylan Edwards is always good for base points as well, but he's starting pretty high on price too. Reece Walsh, you know, it's going to take a while for him to get used to Benny Hunt in that 5'8" role. So, yeah, there's those options you could have went. Latrell, I would like to see how he comes into the season first, where he is fitness-wise, where he is motivation-wise. So that's why I didn't go with Latrell, but Tom Trbojevic is a set and forget for me, minus any injuries. 100%. He averages 80 plus. So you grab him at any point you can. He's got a pretty big price tag, so I don't know how I'd work to him at a later date. So I just thought I'd put him in there and set and forget.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Yeah, definitely see the way you're looking at it. Looking at the Knights draw to start the season, West Tigers to start the season. So it's very dependent if the West Tigers are a better team this year or not. They still probably have a good opportunity there. You got the Dolphins, the Titans, the Dogs in round 5, round 6,
Easy
the Tigers.
loss.
That's the start there too. So overall, you know, the Titans are definitely a good game. You know, I feel like they're around about that level as well. The Dolphins and the West Tigers to start the season, a very good draw. KP against a lot of those sides usually scores fairly well as well. The only worry I have for KP, and this is the question I asked for you, do you worry about all the rumors? Obviously, Fletcher Sharp getting the 6 jersey and the 7 jersey being Tyson Gamble, and maybe the clunkiness that they could find themselves. Like KP won't find himself in probably the most premium position. But then the caveat, that obviously is what you're probably thinking is obviously KP is KP and he could probably make do with what he's got. But are you worried about that halves pairing at all?
No, not at all. You know, at the end of the day, they're still going to get to their points at some point in the game. And 9 times out of 10, KP can create something to create some sort of point in rolling in for him. So whether it's a line break assist, you know, goal kicking, try assist, a try himself. So, you know, like he's got that tackle breaking ability and he scores Supercoach points everywhere, you know, like he's just creating points left, right, and center. And he probably averages a lot more touches than most fullbacks in the game, to the point where I'm pretty confident to start with him.
Yeah, great option, great option. Moving over to your center wing position, brother. So I see Brian To'o, Jermaine Asako, Greg Marju, and Jack Howarth here. And sitting on your bench right now, Jesse Arthurs, Isaiah Tass, and Jackson Purdue. I really like that starting center wing option there. Brian To'o, we all know, a beast of a base stat monster. With the Penrith Panthers, you know, that guy's not going to drop under that. I think he averages base stat like that 40 to 50 range. It's crazy. Jermaine Asako, we all know the heights that he can get to if obviously the Dolphins given enough ball and enough opportunity. Goal kicking option as well. Greggy Marju, a great price point for 513K. And Jack Howarth having a breakout year last year, hoping to continue that form. We'll start on Greg Marju because I think there's a lot of questions around him, obviously, coming to the season. This is probably backing up your point with KP there. You're thinking that side's going to hum again and Greg Marju should get back up to probably the 700K range, which is what he was before.
Yeah, easy. Soft draw, start the year. Knights are very left side dominant through Brady Best, Marju, and KP loves that left edge. So, yeah, it's just a point combination there for me. KP setting up tries to Marju. They should both roll in the points. Brian To'o, pretty set and forget with old To'o. I don't normally start with To'o for the season. Again, it's kind of just building my outline and seeing where I can lay. And I was pretty happy with all the other spots that I did fill. and I didn't need the coin to put somebody else cheaper in there. But if I did need to, Isaiah Tass is starting at this stage for the Rabbits with AJ out, so I could easily trade him in, put Toto to the bench, trade him out for somebody cheaper, and boost up somewhere else. But at this stage, I didn't feel the need. But we'll see how round 1 lines up as well. I might need to swap out a few guys when it comes time to that.
So your thought process here as well, because there's a lot of money sitting in that center wing sort of role. Definitely a position that has the ability to score very high. Is that kind of where your head's at? Is like judging by team list, judging by form. You've got money that's sitting there in that center wing position that you can trade around and really work around. But that's the amount of money you want to set there at the moment, and you don't want to move out of there too much. You know what I mean? Or it has the ability to move around. Is that sort of where your head's at there? Like you want to keep a lot of money there so you're able to afford certain players in that position?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty like guys in the back line, their price blows out really quickly because, when they're on for a game, they're on for a game. They'll score 2 or 3 tries, score 130, and their price can jump, between 100 to 200K in one price increase. So over a 3-week period. So it is kind of hard to play catch up with trying to get these guys at a later date. Once the outside backs are in a better form, they don't really drop too much in price. And especially these guys, Osako, To'o, and Maju normally end up around that 850 mark by the end of the season for Supercoach. So if I kind of started with those guys now, I can free up if there's any injuries and stuff there, and then boost up other positions. But I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. Tries is the best way to gain points, and these 3 guys score a lot of tries, and To'o eats up the meters. So.
Yeah, 100%, brother. Other question that I have for you as well is there, obviously these are you guys that you have there now, other names that you're kind of thinking of before round 1. So you got Ruben Garrix of the world that's sitting at a pretty penny at the moment too. You got obviously your boy Jacob Carraz, so I think is he's under a little bit of an injury cloud. I think he's recovering before round 1. I think he should be good by round 1, but it's still a wait and see. I'm pretty sure he is anyway, but I could be a little bit wrong there. He's sitting at 700K range, so those sort of names you're throwing up in your head as well that could take one of these spots, or at the moment these are the guys that you're kind of really sitting with?
No, definitely. It all depends on the form. But you just know that To'o, Osako, Maju, they never really let you down on Supercoach. Maju's probably the only one that I got a bit of a question cloud over it. Osako's goal kicking helps pick him up as well. For the doggies, I like Carraz. I really do. He really had a breakout season last year. I just want to see how they improve on their attack again. He's not a type of guy that got a lot of tries last year. He's more of the stat eater. Most of his points just off tackle breaks, run meters. So I just want to see if they can take his game to another level with tries. Then I'll look to pick him up. But he is starting the season pretty hefty on price, so that's why I steered away from him. Ruben Garrick, definitely he's one to look at for sure. I just don't fully like him as the center position, as opposed to how much more points he got on the wing.
Yeah, 100%, brother. Really good question here from Jazzy. We'll probably touch on that a little bit more later on, but Isaiah Papali'i, a good buy, you reckon? Definitely we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But at the moment, you looking at Isaiah Papali'i, I'm not too sure. You're not having it on your team, but...
Not at this stage until I see how the Panthers are going to use him. So whether he's going to be playing outside Nathan Cleary, which I doubt it, that's Liam Martin's spot. So it'll just depend how the Panthers look to use him, whether he's rotating off the bench, if he's going to take Scotty Sorensen's position on that left second rower, or if he's just going to rotate through the middle. It depends. It really does. If he steals that left second row of Scotty Sorensen, I'll be picking him up while he's cheap because we know the Panthers love to use that left second rower as their hole runner. But that was when Lua was there. So it also depends on how Blaze can evolve him into the game. But at this stage, no.
Yeah. I'll definitely talk about him a little bit more later on, and that's a little bit of a caveat that maybe I do have him my side right now, but he could be a placeholder depending on how he looks and where he sets up in round number 1. Moving over to your halves pairing here, brother. We'll start with 5'8", which is probably I reckon it's probably the toughest position. That is not probably front row forward. That usually is the toughest position, and probably hooker. To find a player in that position that you probably have to maybe sometimes overspend with. You've gone with Cody Walker. Obviously, we talked about just pre-show He's looking like he could be okay by round 1. There's still obviously an injury card there. Are you worried about the calf injury lingering over the top of him, or do you think that 599, 559, Wayne Bennett effect, he's going to get back to his better form?
Oh, look, he's a cheapie. He, 2 seasons ago, he was nearly up the top for try assist, and probably one of the most tries to a 5'8" for the season. So yeah, Cody Walker's the main man. He's basically the halfback of the team, but you can slap him as a 6. Latrell stays out of trouble and stays on the field. That boosts Cody Walker's game a lot more as well, for points. And I believe the calf injury is just the fact that Latrell's not playing for the Indigenous, so he wanted to pull out of it as well. So I reckon he's just trying to be fit for round 1. That's why I went with Cody Walker. Best option at this point, other than Tommy Deard and Cam Munster, depending how those guys go.
Yeah. I was looking at trying to get Cam Munster on my side. Being at that 600K mark, that's really cheap for Cam Munster. The only worry over him is obviously he's coming back off a hip surgery. By all sounds, he's going to be ready to go by round 1. He's got a round 2 bye, so maybe they do rest him round 1 and move him to a round 3. Who knows? We'd definitely wait on that. But 600K for Cam Munster is also a very good little option for a lot of people out there if you're not too worried about his injuries that he's had for last year. Another bloke here, obviously here we got my man Luke Metcalf. Brother, are you really excited from what you saw in that first trial? Obviously he looked a lot more dominant in that halfback position. He's got the goal kicking. I think that helps a lot too. He's definitely at price fairly well at 443K. Do you see the ability there for him to jump up and getting a lot of points in that number 7 jersey, or do you prefer him being that second fiddle number 6? Are you worried about that at all?
No, look, the main reason I only just recently put Metcalf in, and the main reason was because he was named at 7 in that trial. So if the Warriors are going to name him 7 and Tamari Martin at 6, that means Metcalf's in 2 weeks' time will have a dual position. That's just going to free up my options depending how Ilias goes. If he doesn't do too well, I can trade Luke Metcalf into that backup halfback role instead of that 5'8" role, and then that helps with my trades down the line. But I dare say Metcalf's going to make me a pretty penny anyway, just from goal kicking and the ability he has out on the field to create line breaks, force goal line dropouts, and if he's going to be doing most of the kicking and field play, because we know tomorrow's infield kicking cannot be the best at times. So Metcalf is a bit of a steal for me at the moment. He's a bit of a undershadowed player, I reckon, in Supercoach. Not a lot of guys are owning him.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is definitely changing now that obviously he's got the 7 jersey on, like he's coming to the season and he's goal kicking. A lot of people are wondering. It feels like not a lot of people are watching Warriors games these days, but he was goal kicking by the end of the last season, even with SJ on the side. He was still keeping that goal kicking, but now he's got that 7 jersey, looking at more of a dominant role. I think is a great pickup coming to the season. Moving to your halfbacks, Nico Hines, a big one here. No Nathan Cleary in your team. Are you worried about that at all? Obviously, it's the battle of Nico Hines and Nathan Cleary for a lot of people, or both. Some have both. What's your thoughts there?
Well, Nico Hines is probably the most expensive player I've seen in Supercoach over the last 2-3 years. I think he topped out at about 1.1 million, not last year, the year before. We know what Supercoach is like. It's like Daily M's with Nico Hines. They just love to ride him. And it's just a safe bet. Under 750K, Nico Hines is a steal. Nathan Cleary, for me to start the season, the questions are there. He had another shoulder surgery over the break. Time will tell with him, I guess. But, we've got 3 weeks to see what it's like. I want to just see how he continues to improve his game without someone like Luai there. I know he's going to probably do a lot more of the heavy lifting, but I don't know if that's going to make him overplay his hand and overwork himself, or if we might see a bit of a switch up to the Panthers, who start to work through Yo a lot more in the middle and change their game again. So, but yeah, look, Nathan Cleary is normally a set and forget as well. Don't get me wrong, but I think I just like the price tag of Hines a little bit more at this stage.
Yeah, good to see Michael Williams in the chat as well. 2 days in a row. Hey, let's go. As always, brother. We are moving with this channel here. Lockie Ilias being in that reserve halfback jersey. Are you looking at round number 1 to see? There's obviously Tom Duffy that's apparently leading a charge in that halfback role for the Cowboys. I think he's bottom dollar at 190K. Are you looking that option as well? Are you going to probably stick with Lockie Ilias, or would there be an option maybe for you to try and move some cash around and get a bigger star there, or are you just happy with the Ilias in there at the moment?
No, I'm happy to start with Ilias. I like Ilias. I always say that he was hard done by the Rabbits. I thought he should have been there for sure. So, you know, he's going to goal kick more than likely for the Dragons as well, now that Lomax is gone. So a good little option there. But yeah, he will be eventually trying to make me some coin to flick for the likes of Nathan Cleary, Jerome Hughes, DCE, Moses, one of those guys. But down the line, for now, I like Ilias there.
Do you think Valentine Holm could steal a goal kicking from him and for the
Oh
Dragons?
yeah, potentially. Yeah, I did forget about Holmes. Holmes will more than likely take the goal kicking.
Yeah. But still in that dominant 7 role, there's ability there. If he steps up to the plate, it's him and Flanagan's side. So obviously someone has to step up and really get that team around the park. He's got the ability to get try assists there. We've seen Ben Hunt be able to do so. Shane Flanagan actually came out very recently and said it was actually the system that helped Benny Hunt a lot too. So I don't know how much you want to read into that, but I'm sure Ilias is hopefully Ilias goes really well, because I agree with you. I think that he was kind of what would you call it, scapegoated out of the Rabbitohs. So that's 100%. Really unfortunate. Moving over to your edge back rollers, bro. So how do you usually like to play edge back rollers coming to the seasons? Do you like to stack your edge back rollers? Coming to this one, by the looks of it, you see a lot of cash gen to start the season. Is this how you usually like to play, or do you switch in between the two? Do you like some of the bigger options? Do you not? Like, where's your head at there?
Well, I normally do start with more expensive back rollers, and technically I did, because I had Cotter, I had Horsburgh, and had Tino all on my back row. And I go a bit cheaper in the front rows. But see, this time I liked a lot more cheapy options in my back row this year, more so than what is available up front. So up front, I didn't find too many cheapies that I liked the look of that can potentially gain me some cash. So I went with the old set and forget on Payne Haas up front. And then just the benefit of Horsburgh and Tino as dual positioners, I could start them up front, have all my cheapies in that back row until, you know, they generate me some cash, and then I can trade Tino back to the back row and get another funny that has already proven themselves, AFBs, James Fisher-Harris. But yeah, that's my thought process at the moment. Normally I do like to load up a bit more on my back row. But yeah, as I said, a couple of good cheapies there that will all make some good cash. Schuster, if he finally gets through his injury cloud. Charlie Geimer is getting big rumours to start. You know, he's a very good cheapie. Jack Bird just stays injury free. He's going to do a lot of work around that lock position. Also a dual position as well. I could trade him out to centre. And Nafu White, again, another dual positioner. So we're looking pretty good there. The only reason I've also got Nafu White in there is because Tino's on the bye round one. Other than that, he is in my back row, and Nafu White is on the bench.
Yeah, I really enjoy Nafu. We'll definitely talk about him a lot more coming to my team as well, mainly because the Kiwi performance he had last year, if he backs on top of that and continues to strive, I think he can really steal a lot of minutes in the Roosters. And guys, like with Supercoach, minutes is like gold, especially when it comes to these forwards and stuff. You want to get forwards that get through a ton of work and a ton of those minutes, have the ability to offload. And I think Nafahu White does all those things very, very well. So I'm very, very excited for him this season. Ruben Cotter, obviously a big love of all of us here in the NRL. You know, everyone that watches NRL absolutely adores Ruben Cotter. Good to see him there at 560K. Crazy to me that he hasn't got a duel. That's a really interesting play from Supercoach. So hopefully they give him a duel coming into the season, right?
Yeah, I don't know who picked the duels this year. They were stingy on some players that had it last year, that more deserving of ones that have got it on this year, in my opinion. So, but time will tell, I guess. They'll change it around as they always do.
Yeah, Jose over here saying, is Ben Hunt playing number 9 for the Broncos? There's an opportunity for him to play number 9 when they get fully healthy. But at the start of the season, from all the rumors, he'll be playing in that 6 jersey and could be playing in that 7 if Adam Reynolds is not playing. But if he does get that number 9 jersey for the Broncos later on in the season, there's an opportunity there for Supercoach to give him a duel. So that could be a good thing to watch for Supercoach in the future. At the moment, right now, he's just a halfback. I'm pretty sure
he's a 5'8".
Supercoach. Is he 5'8"? He's not even halfback.
So that's what I mean by they're stingy with it, because they got Sandon Smith that he's half and hooker, but you know Benny Hunt is 5'8". He probably hasn't worn 6 in his life.
Yeah. That's crazy, right?
But anyway,
That's crazy. I love the Payne Haas shout there too. Are you worried about any injury clouders over him at the moment too? I think recent thing coming out with that. But yeah, if Payne Haas, if Madge changes the Broncos and obviously, you know, builds them into giving them a hard edge, I'm sure Payne Haas would probably just get an uptick in a lot of his run meters and stuff. I'm very curious to see how he looks. Obviously, from all the rumors before he had the little injury, I'm pretty sure he needed an ankle clean out from memory or something like that. But anyway, he was looking fucking amazing. So definitely a good little lock and load there if you have the cash to do so. And it's 669K too. That's like fairly cheap there for Payne Haas from memory. Yeah. I think you can get up to the 800.
100%.
And
same with Tino.
Lastly, yeah, same with Tino. Exactly right. Yeah, and that's the whole thing too with Tino. 531K. Like, bro, that's good cash there. He can get up to that 800K range, and you made a ton of money. And then it's up to you if you want to stick with him, or up to you if you want to move him on for another front rower that could stick at that range, like an Adam Fiddle-Blake, as you pointed out before, who probably will with the Sharkies, score a couple of tries left, right, and center, and, you know, hold that probably 800K range that he's really at the moment. Moving over to the hookers, you got your boy Reed Marnie in that hooker role, 562K there, and Sandon Smith with the reserve, 237K. For me, Sandon Smith pretty much is a lock and load in that hooker jersey, that reserve jersey. I think he's going to make a ton of cash. Should get the goal kicking for the Roosters. Reed Marnie, a well-known Supercoach player to start the season. Usually starts very, very hot. When he gets to mid to late in the season, I think a lot of it is due to because the way he plays his football, plays hard, plays fast, maybe has like a mid-season dip. Are you looking for more of Reed Marnie as the start of the season, kill it, and then maybe a mid-season dip, move him on?
Look, Marnie's just a start the season while his body's fresh. He comes back really fit from preseason. He'll be hitting the ground running, 60-plus tackles a game. So there's your 60 points just on base stats, let alone, you know, if he sneaks in a try assist, a 40-20 out of dummy half, everything else that he does in the game as well. Deduct 10 points for penalties, but hey, we won't talk about that. I'd just like to start with him instead of starting with Grant. I know Melbourne love to start with the hooker on the bench. When they start their season until Grant finds that fitness. So for me, Grant's not a good starter. The only other ones I was looking at for hooker is JMK and Blakey Brayley. But they're a bit up there. So I'll potentially just start with Marnie, let him make some cash, and then jump over to one of those boys.
Yeah, 100%, guys. And if you've got an understanding of Supercoach and that, you know, this is an idea of the way, you know, Brodie's trying to play this as well. Hookers aren't usually your biggest scoring players. Neither is front row sometimes. The only time that you ever have, like, you know, a proper, like a good scoring front rower and your hooker, usually they're your premium buys, so your Harry Grants of the world and stuff like that. You got players like Reed Marnie that have stints of a really amazing parts, but usually when you get them to a really high dollar, you want to move over to probably a Harry Grant or something like that to carry on for a season. Maybe Uppy Coruscant or players like that have really high upside. Reed's got that for sure, and maybe you could blow it out of the water, but this is usually the way you want to play a Supercoach. And with Sandon Smith also getting a duel, I see Jose, Sandon Smith has got a duel. Yep, 100%. I would pick him at hooker over halfback, mainly because he plays halfback in, you know, obviously the NRL. Hookers don't score as well as halfbacks from, like, especially goal kicking halfbacks usually. So that's usually a great position to have a halfback that's just there goal kicks. Other options you could go there too is like Connor Watson. I think he's fairly priced there at the moment. He's going to have to play decent minutes in the middle there for the Roosters, as we saw last night when we went through our team list predictions. So he could be another good option at 530K, I think he's at the moment, or 550. So definitely another one to look at. But overall, bro, is there any players that you're looking at the moment that you're really looking at moving on before the season? I know, as you said before, you kind of like to play it as this is your team that you first thought of. Bang, you want to go out there, and you're not going to really look at it until round number 1 before you see team lists and all that, before you start really make decisions, because you do go through the rabbit hole, which I've been, just switching players in and out and try to find different combinations. So sometimes it is good to go with your first thought, right?
Yeah, look, I'm happy. I've got the good base outline that I wanted to start with. You know, other than that, I might need to tighten up Horsburgh if he doesn't get the starting squad. Other than that, I'm happy enough to start with Bird, Tino, and Cotter, and Nafu White on the bench. And then there's enough guys in the bench here to cover my buys. You know, any injuries if I don't want to use a trade that are playing. That should be playing, you know, whether they're on the bench and they might get me 20, 30 points, they're enough to cover if I have any injuries or a lot of guys having the buy. One other thing I wanted to make clear this year, what I've struggled with in the past is loading up too many in the one team. So I've counted out, I think I've got at least one player from every team this year round. So that way I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. Otherwise, you know, you have 6 guys playing in the one game and you go, fuck. Not all of them are going to score well unless that team's going to win 50-0. So that's something I wanted to try and make pretty dominant this year, which I think I've done a pretty good job at.
Yeah, you've done a great job at, guys. Guys, make sure if you want to double check what Brodie's team is, obviously don't copy Brodie's team, right? But if you want to just want to look at what his thought process is and all that, make sure you rewind the video when the video, obviously the live stream finishes. And then obviously, yeah, just check out certain positions, certain thoughts of what is going through Brodie's head.
867, brother. 867.
Yeah, and with that thing, Jose, too, I just want to make a note as well. Never trust the Supercoach predicted score. It doesn't really work out. Like, you know, Brodie's predicted score is 867. He could actually predict, like, he could actually get the 1,000 mark, which is where usually you want to sit. So that the score predictor isn't always the most accurate way to play.
It's very low for a lot of players. Like Hines, 45 is what they're predicting.
And usually the way it works out is they try to predict off of past season's average. You got kids that are just coming in that don't have a proper average because they've only played a couple of games. So they don't really know where they're going to be at. It's just usually that's the way it is. So, but I thought I'd point that out before. If anyone out there that doesn't understand Supercoach, again, we are experts and we don't claim to be experts. We just want to have fun with you guys, chat some Supercoach every week. But yeah, that's probably the best tip of it is don't look at the Supercoach plus sort of option there of predicted scoreless because that can lead you down a very damaging path. I saw someone do a little thing on that too. I think someone ended up getting a 1,400 predicted scoreless, and that all that had was Tommy Turbo at fullback and then 2 rookies and then like Nathan Cleary and 2 rookies. Like the team was completely shocker. So yeah, don't trust it. Don't trust it.
I ain't.
Moving over to my team, guys. So this is the 10 teners coming to the city. Actually, what was your name of your Supercoach team?
It is, I don't even fucking remember, bro. Where do you find that?
Bro, jump into your app. Let me quickly check.
Oh, it's Balake's squad.
Balake's squad. Yeah, shout out Balake. Good little Key and Peele reference sitting there. My team is the 10 teners coming to the season, guys. Obviously, we will chuck down in the comment section after the video and all that. I will pin the league code that we have for Down Unders if you want to join our league as well. There's also the Wise Up TV league, guys. So go over to Wise Up TV. You have to become a member to get into that one. Tahi also has a league that he loves to put up there as well, guys. So make sure you jump into his league as well. But the 10 teners, I think that's a little bit of a play on words there. Obviously with Tanner Boyd coming to the Warriors, and even though I love Tamade Martin and Luke Metcalf as my half pairing, I thought that was probably a really fun little 10 teners, baby. Good music.
Are you? Oh, I was gonna say, are you that excited about Tanner Boyd, bro?
He could become something. Who knows? The Warriors have done wonders with other halfbacks in the past, so who knows?
Bro, you're living on a dream, mate.
I love to see it, bro. I love to see it. Moving over to my team here. In my flex and fullback positions, I've gone the 3-gun fullback, as we just touched on before. This is kind of my view set of, in years past, I have started fairly slow with cash gen. This year, I kind of wanted to switch up a little bit and go for points fairly early on. Still with a lot of cash gen in other areas, but I wanted to start the season in a heavy baseline to get into decent ranks to start with, and then try to work around my team and continue to hold that for the season, where I think Brodie's approach as well, very similar in a way, but also, you know, he likes his cash gen as well and really build up his team for the future. So he can get the best players in later on down the track. So I've started off with Tom Trbojevic, Latrell Mitchell, and Reece Walsh as my 3 fullbacks to start the season. Tom Trbojevic is in my flex position. I can move that to Reece Walsh as well because I do hold on. I reckon I'll hold on to Latrell and Turbo before Walshy for sure. Your thoughts on that, Bella?
Yeah, just that he's still worried about Walshy and how he's going to approach the season. He didn't have his best season last year, Supercoach wise. Especially once that Origin incident happened, he was just a shell of himself. Are you worried that he's still going to continue that slump?
A little bit for sure. I think this is more banking on what Madge can do out of the Broncos. I am like slightly higher on the Broncos coming into the season, just having a coach that's willing to whip him into shape and have a really solid game plan behind him. Obviously, he had to study Reece Walsh fairly well, and he said that obviously in the media going up against Reece Walsh, with the Maroons and Blues last year with the State of Origin. So I think that he can put Reece Walsh in the right positions to end up, scoring fairly well. What worries me on the back end of that as well too, guys, this is going from my head right now, is with that, he could maybe even like tone down Reece Walsh, which are kind of, that's the thing with Reece, is if Reece is like what he was a couple of years ago, a gunslinger, he could go for those big scores. If Madge gets him more of a consistent sort of player, I'm wondering where that sits him. Does that sit him as a consistent like 60, 70 point gamer, or does he still become that player that can shoot up to that 130s out of one game and maybe drop the 30s some other games? But I'm kind of banking on the experienced halves will get him in the perfect positions this time, and Reece will finish everything off the back of that. So that's what I'm banking on right now.
And just the other one is, are you a bit worried with Latrell not really getting any trials? Are you worried that he's going to start the season slow due to no match fitness?
A little bit. I'm also, again, kind of reading into a lot of the pitches and stuff coming into the offseason. He's looking really fit and really trim.
He always does, though, bro. Every year.
Oh, I would argue last year he still carried a bit of weight under him and all that. I wasn't as high on that. And I'm kind of also banking on the Wayne Bennett factor here with the Rabbitohs. So I'm sure Wayne probably knows what's best for Latrell, and I think that like if he's able to get the best out of Latrell even to start the season, I think that he could shoot fairly high. Again, this is just banking on like these guys top ending to start the season, which is a risky strategy, especially to start the season. All the teams defensively are very sound. Usually they break apart later on in the season. That's where you want to get all your gun fullbacks. I'm kind of banking on someone like Latrell just hitting the straps early and showing the league right now that he means business. And that's really what I'm banking on coming to season. I think the Wayne Bennett factor is really pushing this one for me over KP. Again, the only thing that worries me about KP is those halves pairing. And as I said before, I'm not that high on the Knights, even though KP will still do damage in what he does, like usually overall, and a goal kicking potential. I'm probably just a little bit more higher on the Rabbitohs and the attacking potential with them coming to the season.
Okay.
Tarns, how the hell are you forwards 3 top fullbacks? You will definitely see that a little bit more, Tarns. I know Tarns is definitely a first-time player, I'm pretty sure, from listening in the WhatsApp group. So, yeah, good to see you in here, Tarns. But, yeah, and Tommy Turbo, I think we all agree that he's a set and forget if there's no injuries around him. He can go bonkers in Supercoach, so definitely keep him around. Moving over to my wing and center position, I've got Ruben Garrick, Casey McLean, Tyrone Munro, and Jesse Arthurs. My bench is Tamale, Derby, and Robert Toya. Your thoughts around my little pairing there? First of all, like I really enjoy Ruben Garrick, just mainly as a fact of like goal kicking potential. If the Manly Seagulls are able to score fairly well, he usually scores fairly well there. Even in that center position, his averages don't drop too much. Obviously, I do prefer him on the wing, as you do as well. But I still think that out of all the center wing, positions, he's got the best ability probably to jump up to that 800k range right now from a 680. I kind of enjoy that. Casey McLean, I'm very high on coming this season. Ty Munro out the back of that Rabbitoh shape with Latrell Mitchell. Very similar to you with Kalen Ponga and Greggy Marju. I'm kind of banking on Tyrone Munro and Latrell Mitchell combining fairly well there, I think.
Yeah, but Tyrone Munro for me is going to be on right edge, and the Rabbits don't go right.
Well, that's another thing that could be, game dependent. I really do want to see where Isaiah Tass is sitting, because I was kind of banking on AJ pulling out, Ty Munro sitting in that position, Isaiah Tass going to the right. He was a right side center in Q Cup growing up, even though he played left side in NRL. And then they obviously, I think from rumors, they were training him on the right. But that is definitely one that's up to the debate, because I can definitely see myself switching to Isaiah Tass on that left-hand side. Because that left-hand side is just super coach points waiting to happen.
Whoever it is, yeah. Okay, so I'll be the same, to be honest. Whoever gets the left wing spot will be that pick for me. Either it's Tass or Munro. Other than that, the only other one that I can see scoring a lot of points for you is Garrick. Like Jesse Arthurs, he does a job, bro, but for me, they don't go to him enough. Yeah, and Casey McLean, well, he has the ability to score a lot of points, but again, he's going to be on the least dominant edge. I dare say Toto is going to be on Cleary's edge, and that's
Yep.
the way they proved to go a little bit more, especially with the unknown half pairing, how that's going to go.
Yep.
You're a little bit worried there at all? Normally, the back line, you're trying to bank on those guys getting 80 plus, and these guys aren't really proven to do that other than Garrick at this stage.
I think with Jesse Arthur's, where he's priced, I'm fairly confident that he can do a job with the meterage he gets through. And from thinking away, like Selwyn would probably post up on that right side center wing position this year for the Broncos. Left side would go Jesse Arthur's, with Ben Hunt probably posting up on the left side if Adam Reynolds is healthy and ready to go. I think the try assist potential coming out of that left side with Ben Hunt, Reece Walsh, judging on how their connection goes, probably bodes well for Jesse Arthur's out the back of shape, which Corey Oates in years past has dealt with as well and end up getting fairly good scores. I think Jesse Arthur's had a downer of a year last year after, the grand final of 2023, had a little bit of a downer. The Broncos had a downer of a year. I'm expecting Madge will probably get the work rate out of him. That will end up being a base beast, if that makes sense. And Case McLean, fairly similar. I think base-wise, he's going to end up basing fairly well. And then with the Penrith Panthers, I am a little bit worried with Nathan Cleary probably taking a lion's share of the attack on the right side. So Brian Toto looks great there as well. But I'm kind of banking on that. Casey McLean, after the season that he's had, he's going to be full of confidence. His base should be fairly good as well. He gets for a ton of work on that sideline. And just the youthfulness that he has, I'm expecting that hopefully the Panthers can just give him a ton of ball down that edge and connect fairly well. So that is definitely a risk. But I'm fairly confident that their base is the big thing for me. I don't see a lot of these guys dropping too far base-wise, and that's kind of what I was banking on.
Okay, fair. More upside than some downside, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not risking the money at the moment, so yeah, fair.
Well, that's the big thing, and there's not a ton of money I'm holding up in the center wing position right now. I'm kind of also banking on my cheapies here to bank a little bit of money so I can chuck it back into my center wings, and that frees me up to do a couple of bigger plays, which we'll move on to in a little bit more. You had similar cheapies to me as well. Obviously, these are game time, watches. Tamale should get the round 1 position for the Raiders. We're all predicting. After that, there's a little bit of worry. Albert Hopewadi will steal his position, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. Robert Derby getting a 3-year deal recently, just today from what I've read. So hopefully he gets a spot there. Robert Toya, I'm definitely worried to see if he can get a spot, but we'll still have to wait and see.
I didn't go any of those guys.
You didn't go Tamale? I thought you had Tamale.
Nah, I went Purdue, Tass, and Arthurs.
I was so sure I saw Tamale in the side. I'm sorry, but yeah. Jose, can you see everyone's team, Ash, or are you just showing yours? I'm just showing yours, mine, my bro. We showed Brodie's in that last one. Moving on to my 5/8s, I've gone Luke Metcalf and Adam Dewey. I understand Adam Dewey's a very big risk in a way, but I'm kind of banking on also to start the season with the Tigers. I don't want to have too many Tigers on my side and all that, but the Tigers goal kicking will probably go to Adam Dewey. Even though Api Coruscant is out till round 2 from memory, right? With the suspension.
Yeah.
So he should get a couple of rounds there. He usually bases fairly well if he gets a little bit of attacking ball on that side. Now Jerome Luai comes into that side. If Jerome Luai is on that right side, or Galvin, depending on how they play there. It is a worry still, and that is definitely a round 1 sort of watch, or if he steals that position, if he holds that position. But if he gets it, he's got goal kicking potential, and he's someone that I'm looking at probably pushing back down to center wing if I have to, or cashing him out for maybe a cheaper player. He is dual, yeah.
And how much is he paying at the moment?
$430K. He averages on average 50, so he can bank up cash. Even in that center position, that's coming off his center averages. And if he, obviously, his 6 days, if he gets any attacking ball or he gets through a ton of work, he can get back up to that 60 to 70. So kind of banking on things to go right for him there. But again, I understand that's a heavy risk, especially with his injury risk coming into the season as well.
Yeah, that's the only thing that worries me for you with this, brother, is I'm seeing a lot that you want to upgrade later. To the point where you're just going to be chewing through your trades. And then God forbid one of your set forgets get injured on top of it. Like, let's be real. Is that the back line you're wanting to carry, say, after Origin period? Are you going to want those same 4 guys there, or are you seeing that you're going to want to trade 3 of them out potentially?
I think a lot of people are going to be looking to trade three of them out no matter what. So like Brian Toto for you is going to be an Origin player. So he's going to be around about hampered in those periods there too. A lot of these guys aren't looking at Origin this year. They're probably too far off. And like I am looking at banking a trade and these boys are upgrading them depending on how they start the season. As I said, it's a little bit of cash gen there. So like, you know, boosting it up and moving them on to players that maybe to start the season, like guns that aren't scoring fairly well because the start of the season defensively, a lot of teams are really locked in and moving those players on and getting better guns in that are going to hold us up through that Origin period. But if it comes down to if McLean goes fairly well, he's not Origin impacted, obviously playing for the Kiwis. Jesse Arthur's fairly similar. Ty Munro, he's definitely an option out of nowhere that could really like set the league alight. He's got that talent potential, right? And Ruben Garrick, he's definitely not in the looking for Origin, and he's definitely a guy I'm looking to hold through the rest of the season. So he's my big hold.
Okay.
So that's where I'm kind of looking at right now. And it definitely frees up all the cash for me to go the big duo pairing here of Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines for my halfbacks. Two of the best scorers in Supercoach. The way I've looked at all this too, guys, the way I've kind of set my team up, you'll probably notice a bit more later on. I've got Tom Trbojevic, Latrell Mitchell, two of the biggest scorers in Supercoach. Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines, two of the biggest scorers in Supercoach. This is very big early. And then all these other players are kind of more predicting on them accumulating points and moving on to other bigger guns. So that's my biggest thing. I'm looking at saving trades in these areas because I know that a lot of people are going to be trading to get those players. Like, you know what I mean? You got Ilias in that position. You're going to be looking at Nathan Cleary later on, right? So that's a burning of a trade. Where for me, I'm burning trades to my center wings, which I'm probably going to burn anyway, judging on like how up and down center wings usually are. So that's kind of where my head's at there.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to trade out Asako, Toto, or Marju.
That's a big thing, yeah, 100%. Marju for me is a bit shaky, 50-50, depending on how the Knights go this season. He had a little bit of a dip toward the end of the season. That's the reason why he got to that level. That's banking on as well that the Knights obviously click and go fairly well and get back to his position. Those other two, 100%, they're set and forgets. I think the opposite for me is my set and forgets are Nathan Cleary, Nico Hines. That's kind of where my head's at.
Cleary's not a set and forget just due to injuries, Origin. He is for what he can score, but when's the last time Nathan Cleary played a full season?
Hopefully this season, brother. Hopefully this season.
If you want set and forget, you're looking at like DCE, I guess. The motherfucker never gets injured.
This could be the year. You never know. But I think
hopefully.
I think the big thing I'm looking at too is when a lot of people are going to be looking at, if everything goes right for my side here, I've got the biggest scorers out of the whole league in multiple different positions. And in the positions that don't usually score well or bode well, there's the positions that I kind of like sit with, like, you know, certain cheapies and stuff that I'm trying to build up with, right?
I can see it.
So, yeah, that's the thought process of me right now. My edge back rowers, I got Isaiah Popley, Kelma Tuolangi, Egan Butcher, and then my bench of that, Vaimawanga, Charlie Geimer, and Blake Steep. So Blake Steep at the moment is really a watch with the Indigenous game. Egan Butcher's fairly similar as well. That's my round one waiting to watch to see what he can get to. But looking at some of his stats, he has the ability to go for 120s, 130s. That's even coming off the bench, playing for that 40-minute role. He's done it in years past. Last year, he was just hampered with a knee injury that put him out for the rest of the season. That's my only big risk with Egan Butcher coming to the season is when do we see a lot out of him? Are they going to ease him back into the lineup? I still think there's minutes for the Roosters coming in there. And Isaiah Popley, right now, I've got him in there. I could see myself before round one, maybe moving up to players. I got like cash sitting waiting to go. I can move up to Olakawatu if I need to, if I'm worried about that position, or I can move down to certain other players to kind of cash out and see how we go. But at the moment, I've got him there. I think if he goes well, if he sets in that left side position, I'm going to run with him just to see how he goes to start the season.
Yeah, I guess that's all dependent on, exactly where he starts, how the Panthers use him. Exactly. And it'd be a pretty big indicator as soon as you see that round one team list drop.
I think that's definitely where it's at, right? And Kelma Tuolangi, definitely a risk as well. I think for a lot of people thinking.
I like that shout. I think he will have another great season now that he's got Dylan Brown predominantly on that left edge with him, not floating across the field. So I do see that shout, and I think he's got that position locked down over the likes of Madison and Sean Lane and stuff like that at this point. So I do like that shout for him. Egan Butcher worries me a little bit, more so just the fact that we think that Nafu White is going to predominantly get that momentum, big minute player. We know Lindsay Collins plays big minutes through the middle. Yeah, that's the only little worry I have there. But again, it's risk worth reward. When you put a cheapie in like him and you've got Cleary and Hines, they're going to make up any difference in points that he doesn't score anyway for you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And 310K, I could quite easily push him to a bench role and then maybe upgrade one of those boys to move someone on. I think I'm very happy to either carry him on the bench and, obviously move some pieces around and getting another decent second rower in there. Or if it bodes well, if he ends up coming through and going to get a better role, he could be a really good option as a cheap option. 310K, he could boost up to that 500K mark, cash him out, see how he goes, and move on to someone bigger and better. But that's sort of my thought process there. But definitely very risky there, guys. I do understand. That's kind of the way I've thought into the season. That's how I'm running in. Moving over to my front row pairing, I got Nafahu White and Corey Horsburgh right now. This is all waiting on to see what's going on. As I keep saying, I got 167K left to go. So a lot of movement can definitely happen here. We'll talk about it a little bit more, obviously, after this, about Terrell May, Tino Fa'asul Mala'awi. I'm throwing up a lot of those names. I don't know if I'm going to go Terrell May. I'm not so keen on the Tigers. I'm not as hyped as everyone else is on Terrell May and the Tigers. And Tino is probably the one I'm looking at that's probably going to jump in for Tola here or one of these other boys. If Horsburgh doesn't get a role, I'm going to move that up to a Tino Fa'asul Mala'awi. But if both those guys get a decent role to start the season, I think they're both a really good option to have in your side for sure, and they're going to make a ton of money. Totola's sitting on my bench at the moment right now. He is a wait and see whatever's happening there. And he's just honestly just a placeholder for a Tino Fa'asul Mala'awi or Terrell May that I'm looking at moving on depending on how we go there. So that's really where my head's at. And Hopwood, he's just a real bottom dollar cheapie that I have. There is rumor that he could get a spot in this starting 17. Got a ton of ability coming through the junior grades. He's just someone I'm watching out for at the moment too.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's hope the Big Red gets back to his form from 2 seasons ago when he cracked Origin. He was killing it on Supercoach. He was a must-have. So let's hope we see that again from him. See him in predominantly that 13 role where he creates havoc with offloads and you just see the points pile on.
100%, brother, 100%. And then moving over to my hooker pairing. So I went the big upgrade here with Harry Grant to start the season. As I said, I just predict that everyone's going to be trying to move heaven and earth to get Harry Grant in part of the season. Obviously, the big watch is coming through the State of Origin period. He's going to be playing State of Origin this season, so a lot of people probably won't be looking to him till after that. But I've got Sandon Smith there that can really cover in that position through that period. Or, I can move around and maybe get a Connor Watson sitting in my edge back role that can move into that hooker role if Sandon Smith doesn't catch fire, which I'm kind of hoping for in that number 6 jersey. But again, these are my set and forget sort of thing is Harry Grant, Nathan Cleary, Nico Hines, stuff like that. Again, injuries can change anything like they could with any team in my eyes. But these are the guys that I think a lot of people are going to be trading up for later on. I wanted to get them in early and save those trades and do trades in other positions that don't really have a ton of big points potential, if that makes sense. Like front row position, that's going to be always a trouble no matter what. Usually that's always a trouble. I think I'll set and forget with other players and then just really focus on those other positions during the season.
I do like it.
So as I said before, guys, that frees up obviously 167K. It's sitting there waiting and ready to go. A couple of more movements judging on round 1 teamless. As I said, I am still looking at Terrell May and Tino Fa'asul Mala'awi. I haven't got him in my team right now, but I'm just waiting and seeing what's going on around the league. Tino, obviously the round 1 bye probably hurts a little bit, but not as much as what I think a lot of people were reading into. Terrell May for me, it feels weird. I really think that Terrell May at the moment has just got a ton of hype behind him for a player that has gone to the West Tigers, and we've seen better players not go that well at the West Tigers, I believe anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's too much of a risk worth reward at the moment. I'm also like the upside of Royce Hunt to be the better option there. A lot cheaper. And the ability to still score is about the same. I think I'd give the upside to Terrell May, but that was Terrell May at the Roosters. A big difference now is he's at the Tigers. Let's see how he adapts to that, and we'll go from there.
100%. It's definitely a wait and see. And obviously, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. That's the risk I'm willing to take. But that's Really what it comes down to. Question here from Jose. How much money did Brody have left over?
I only had about 7,000 left over. No,
7,000.
700. So
700?
yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit of movement there too for you. You obviously got a lot of money in your center wings and all that. As we said before, you got movement in your players that you're going to have there too. And that's kind of how you're probably looking at it as well, right?
Yeah, it just depends. Like once round one rolls around, I get a feeling for who's going to be playing where. There's a couple of guys on the bench that are holding a bit more money than I would like. Like Isaiah Tass, if he doesn't get that left wing, I'd probably downgrade him to a cheapie because I don't need another guy to start there. My starters are set and forget. So I can, free up another 100K there by picking up a cheapie. If Payne Haas's potential to not be at 100%, I'll drop him out and then free up another 400 or 500K there. So I'm not too worried about that. And I've also got Tino that I've just put in because I know I want Tino, but he's out round one, so I could easily switch somebody else in there. And I don't need the 4 halves at the moment. I could downgrade, Ilias to a cheapie, move Cody Walker to half, put Metcalf as my starter, and chuck in the Tigers young gun at 5'8". That's also dual for a hooker position. So yeah, options upon options. It all depends on that round one team list.
100%. And the last one before we move over to the little game before we leave, is there a salary you like to leave left over before you start the season? As I said, like a lot of things are going to change before round one for you. Is there a salary that you like to leave in there, or do you like to drain all the way down and just trust that your players will move around the money that you need?
No, the players will make enough money for me, for my opinion. I don't want to hold too much cash because you're holding on to what if. I want to have the most expensive squad I can have out there at any given time, I guess. Supercoach doesn't wait for anybody. If you have one bad week, you fall so far behind on the pecking order of overall ranking. So, I'll definitely want to maximize the cash flow I've got out there in my players at any given time, and hope they do the rest to improve.
Jose commented here, wish you could look at my team as I'm a beginner. Would love the feedback, but all good. Brother, make sure you chuck in the comment section for the next show. We'll probably do a little bit of review of your side and our thoughts overall, and maybe some moves that could probably help you come into round one.
100%.
There's a couple of weeks before round 0 starts with Vegas, so we got a little bit of time, obviously. So chuck your team into the comment section this week, even if you want to, and I'll bring it up for next week where we can talk about it. So just go to your 1 to, how many players we got here? About 20.
Well, even if you just do your 1 to 13, Bo, and your 4 subs, actually, I posted it all up because we want to have a look at where your cash is lying. So I don't know if you can add photos in the comments. If you can, Bo, just...
I'm not sure. I don't think you can. But yeah, if you just write them out, I'm happy to read all the way through. Even if you can't write them out, put them into your next comment, all that sort of stuff.
Or DM Ash on Instagram, and we will review it. Send a screenshot of your team.
Well. Yeah, jump over to my Instagram, guys. I think it's in the description down below. If it is not, it is at Ash Thomas_11. So,
and we'll give your team a review.
100%. And before we let you go, bro, obviously, it's your mum's birthday today. So happy birthday to your mother. Make sure to chat. Make sure you say happy birthday to Brody's mum. I appreciate you obviously sticking around for us before we let you go here. Over-unders, brother. This is a little game I really wanted to play with you. I want to get your thought process coming into the season, especially a lot of talking points. Let's start with the big one. Terrell may come into the season. A lot of people predicting him at an average of 70 points. Obviously last year he averaged 61 while playing 45 minutes on average. And then if you actually get him playing 50 minutes per game, he averaged 80 points per those games. So do you think he can average 70 over or under?
I'm going to say under.
How far under are you looking?
I'm going to say a good 20 to 30 points under on average.
So you're thinking the 50 to 60 range for him?
Nah, 40 to 50 range. I think he's going to tank a bit. And the sole reason I think that is because he's not at the Roosters. Roosters are a team that once they get a roll on, and they start scoring points fast, right? And I know that he's not involved in scoring those points, but when you see the Roosters score 3-4 tries on you in a row, that defense takes a blow. They get softer. So not only do they get softer where the points are getting scored, they get softer in the middle. a front row is going to be like, why the fuck am I putting the effort into tackling this big motherfucker running at me when they're just going to score on the next play out wider? You know, the Tigers aren't going to have that much success to do that to teams, in my opinion, even if they do a lot better. So he's going to find it a lot harder going. He's going to be coming up against defense that's, you know, still trying to win the game instead of like a defeated defense. And I think that's why we've seen Terrell May score a lot last year, because he was coming up against defeated players and defense already, and he was finding his front. He was running harder. They wanted it more. So I think he's going to tank a little bit.
I think the biggest question too is like, you know, the alpha dog tag that is going to be labeled on him coming to the season. Forward packs are going to really look at that now. He's the starting front row more than likely for the West Tigers this season. And he's come out and said, I'm going to be the guy. Like, you know, front rows are going to test him to see if he's actually going to be the guy. So that's the real thing as well. When he's coming off the bench for the Roosters, obviously to have Wario Hargraves and that kind of softens up the middle in a way. And he comes off the bench and really plays off the back of that. Now he's got to be the guy. I've seen all his interviews. He talks very well. He's very confident. But it is a difference coming off the bench as a front rower comparatively to starting off a game and being the alpha dog from the start. I'm sure there's going to be guys hunting for his head. So that's a big thing to look at coming to the season.
I agree. And it's, yeah, you're right. I think his second stint points will be a lot better than his first if he's a starter.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. Moving on, just jumping through a couple of these here. Nico Hines, 2024, he averaged 75 points. Do you see him getting over or under? Obviously, last year dealt with a couple of injuries and that. Do you see him holding that, going over or under?
Over. I think Hines will get back to his average of about 80, 90. You know, we've seen him scoring those 100-point games. The Sharks are a better squad again. A lot of opportunity to score a lot of points. I think we'll see the Sharks probably blow a few teams away, more so the Roosters role last year. And you'll see Hines' success in the points, as long as he's good mentally. And I'm sure he will be. Off-season would have been good for him. I'm keen to ride with Hines for the season.
Yeah, I'm sitting at, I think he's going to go overs. It all depended on, he continues the goal kick, right? You know, hopefully he should lock into that one. And then just connection with Trindle. And then off the back of that, just the Sharkies have a great forward pack. Like they got Adam Fanua-Blake now. Playing off the back of Adam Fanua-Blake in attack would definitely bode very well for Nico Hines' score. So that's what we're all banking on here. We're going overs for Nico Hines in 2025. How far overs? You're looking at 80 and 90, you're saying, eh?
Yeah, I reckon 80, 90. He acts like, I know the average wasn't 100, but like not last year, the year before, 2023, it seemed like he was averaging 100. You know, he was scoring 130s, 120s. I don't remember too many times he scored under 100. So there must have been one or two really bad games that dragged that average down. But yeah, normally he's around that 100 mark.
100%, bro. 100%. Moving over to Stefano Otikamanu in 2024, averaged 54 points. That was playing with the West Tigers. Obviously, you know, the West Tigers. And he was actually playing 50 minutes per game to get that average of 54 points. Do you see that going over or under with the Melbourne Storm?
I want to say it's going to stay about the same. I don't think we'll see too much change. He'll be a lot fitter. He'll get through a bit more work. But, you know, the Storm have a really good rotation in their front rowers, so they don't need their front rows to overplay their hand. Most of their fronties and back rows are used mostly for defense. Other than Ali Katoa, he's more so a strike weapon in attack. Other than that, you know, you'll see those guys just do their role, do their defense, have their hit-ups, and the workload gets shared at the Storm. It's not like a one-person thing. So if anything, he might drop a little bit more so than go up, whereas at the Tigers, he was like, we need this dude to have the hit-up. All right, and we need him again. But now it's like a shared thing. We might see that drop a little bit, especially with the way you see Harry Grant and Trent Liero play. They're in every tackle. You know, they're going to steal a lot of those points. Josh King as well. So I don't see him going up. I say he'll stay about the same, if not drop.
Yep. Yeah, I'm probably on the same boat with you. I think it's all minutes dependent. If he turns into the big prop they want to play for long minutes, maybe there's an opportunity there with Harry Grant, maybe getting him on the front foot and getting that ruck rolling. But there's also potential that obviously with the Melbourne Storm, they ease him into the season. You got Josh King that plays for long minutes. You got Narcis's got to come off the bench and steal some minutes there too. And as we said before, you know, Tui, you got Alec McDonald that you had in your team list. I had Va'alipu that could be in there as well. So the minutes are definitely, he's not going to be the leader of the pack like he was with the West Tigers straight away. It may take a little bit of time before he can get into that level, if he even can get to that level. So it's definitely a wait and see with him. So I'll probably go unders for now. But yeah, it'll probably be around about the same. Around there. Isaiah Papali'i averaged 60 last year with the West Tigers. Again, touching on the West Tigers, a little bit of a lackluster year. He was playing on the right side, which I kind of pointed out before. Left side is Lockie Galvin's side, which is where they predominantly went last year. 2022, he averaged 79 points outside Mitchell Moses at the Parramatta Eels. Will he go over or under that score at the Penrith Panthers?
If he starts, he goes over. If he doesn't start, I don't see how he's going to get over it. So it's still very up in the air for me. So I'm going to say under for now because I don't see them moving from Sorensen and Liam Martin to start.
Yep.
But he's got the ability to go higher.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's why I kind of like to point out that 2022 stat. Obviously, it was a great back rower for the Parramatta Eels. The system of the Penrith Panthers is really what we're all banking on, right? That's what I'm banking on. So I'm going to go over. But I definitely see the opposite side of it is he's going to ease into that position. And I think even in my predicted team list, he came off the bench. He's probably going to get a lot of middle role to start. And then before we see him on the edge. So he's got to learn that role. So it's really a wait and see. But I'm going over just on the prediction, hopefully, that the Penrith Panthers can make him into the back row he was back in the past. And lastly, Big Red. We know Big Red. We love Big Red. Can he get over his 45 average on 2024? So in 2023, he averaged 62 points per game, playing 62 minutes. Last year, he averaged 45 points per game, only playing for 44 minutes. Does Ricky give him a role this year? Does he get over that points of 45 average?
If he's in the team, easy over 45. He averaged 60 plus for me easily. You know, there was a couple of games there, 2023, where he was scoring 120, 110, 90. You would even consider him a captaincy option. Like he was going that good. So yeah, if he's looking fit, but if he gets a spot, for sure, he's going to average over 45.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm going Big Red all day. Corey Horsburgh, that is Jose, who is Big Red again. It is Corey Horsburgh. Keep an eye out. Watch out for the name. He's looking fit and ready to go, Bella. So I'm really excited to see him this season. Anything more before we go, my bro? A really good little Supercoach show to start off with. Guys, we're going to try and keep this around that 45-minute mark or whatever. We're going overs on that tonight, but we're going to try and do a little bit of predictions this season and just talk about our teams throughout the season. So anything more you want to add, bro?
Nah, that's good first start for me. As you touched on, it will get shorter. We won't need to go through the whole team every week, just our changes. So, yeah.
100%, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. As always, Tahi, bro, Jazz, good to see you, Jose, Tans, all the great viewers that we have usually. And thank you so much to anyone new that's jumping in the chat as well and learning a little bit of Supercoach or just jumping in with us as well. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your weekend of footy. Up the wires. And also, happy birthday to Brodie's mum.
Thanks, brother.
Let's go.